Live pictures from the Brigitte Mabanda Justice College. Yet another adjournment in the anticipated appearance of Vusumuzi Cat Matlala. Usually around this time, we would have heard a substantial amount from the witness, but things are unfolding very differently today because, of course, of the back and forth around whether or not he is properly represented and if, in fact, he is ready to proceed. This adjournment, my understanding, is to allow Vusumuzi Cat Matlala to now give more instructions to his legal team in the event that the chair does rule that he must go ahead with his testimony today. Canny Maphanga is also here with us, who's been listening in to the back and forth. And Canny, a substantial amount of information now coming out of the submissions made by Vusumuzi Cat Matlala's legal team. In the main, they don't feel ready to proceed even with this application in the absence of the lead counsel.
Yes, it seems that the greatest issue here is that Cat Matlala's legal counsel, lead legal counsel, that is Advocate Van den Heever, has fallen ill and can't argue this particular matter at this stage, and they're asking for a stand down to prepare that substantive application with respect to a number of issues, which also include this privilege that he seeks to invoke against self-incrimination in terms of the questioning. And there is a lot of possible outcomes that were being debated before the Madlanga Commission. We're hearing a possibility of staging a walkout. I'm not sure how that will work out for alleged cartel member Vusumuzi Cat Matlala. One, he's in the custody of that particular correctional facility. He is transported here by members of the PKTT. He's also under subpoena, so you can't just walk out of a Madlanga Commission. The lawyers as well, they're not under subpoenas, but usually you are excused before you get to leave the vicinity. But the guess that I'm getting here is that they don't want to proceed today, and any other option that is available to them, even if it means that they go and approach the High Court, which is just down the road, in order to get some form of relief in the form of an interdict, if that is what is being sought, in order to stop what is taking place here. So by all means, they seemingly have taken the position, or at least the instruction is from Vusumuzi Cat Matlala, that he's not going to proceed today, and that if he is forced to do so, then he feels on the record that this is an unfair process, and I guess he's suggesting that he'll be prejudiced if he continues without his lead counsel and without the substantive application being prepared and without that opportunity. I think there's some bit of a difficulty with consultations with him in terms of where he is placed in Gauteng, or that's where we assume he is, in terms of the correctional facility and the kind of access that they need to get to CMAX, and that's part of the challenge that the legal team is placing forth, even going to the extent of saying that they're willing to place their times on the record in terms of how long it took them to get in, to consult, and to get out of the facility.
And the reason why that came up is because we then were made privy of a message that came apparently from the area commissioner of the Correctional Services Department, who is essentially refuting the initial submissions that were made by Adv Missi about this idea of it being difficult. And I'm going to read part of the notes I've got here. Is that this commissioner said that they had 3 days to consult, and in fact they're willing to accommodate the commission because of the important work that is being done by the inquiry.
Yes, and I'm not sure if 3 days is something that they consider to be short or not sufficient, but the sense that you get from her is that it's very difficult for them to get into that facility and consult, although it's not clear what was meant by that particular message, because Advocate Missi seemed to take a bit of offense, and that's when she listed the times upon which she went in, the period in which she consulted, and the time she went out from the particular facility in question. So at this point, we're a bit in limbo, because you have Vusumuzi Cat Matlala, who is stating that this process is unfair without his lead counsel. You have a junior who's placed in a position where there's a possibility that she will have to proceed, and she's clearly not ready or comfortable to do so under these circumstances, and wants to stand down until tomorrow, where they get a substantive application. It's still not clear whether or not Advocate Van den Hever would be able to return even if tomorrow was the date. But I'm not sure that even if they do proceed, what Kat Matlala is going to say, because he himself has clearly taken the position in terms of his instructions to his own legal team, and he seems to hold the kind of position or thought, or the view rather, that he can walk out if he chooses to do so and approach the court to stop whatever is taking place here. So it's a very difficult scenario for the Commission. They've got these tight deadlines. They need to finish with the evidence. But then you also have the legal team that wants to argue a substantive application that is clearly not at the stage where they are ready to argue. And then you're missing the lead counsel, which has, for majority of his appearances, been here with Vusumuzi Kat Matlala just today, where there isn't that opportunity for her to be here due to that illness. So it's a bit of a difficult scenario, but there is work to be done. There are some questions that he should be able to proceed on, but it seems that there's now this blanket approach that Kat Matlala clearly wants to hold on to, and he doesn't want to entertain any of these questions. And part of it, if we in the realm of speculation now, is because he may not even know what's happening with those criminal matters, specifically the Medicare 24/4 case. Remember, his lawyer wanted, or rather had, a great interest in how the plea deal came about. And if you look at the information that's come out so far and what turned out in the Mukwele matter, with it being unconditionally withdrawn, it's unclear whether or not that is the same future that follows the Medicare 24/4 case. So it's a balancing act. There's a lot at stake for Vusumuzi Kat Matlala, but he's also quite central to the probe here before the Madlanga Commission. So we'll have to see how the Commission manages this situation and what then the outcome or the possible fallout, if any, is if he is told or compelled to testify today.
And speaking about, I suppose, that balancing act that needs to be struck, I get the sense that even the Commission has to do a lot of balancing today, because on the one hand, you're dealing with a witness that has now said, I don't think I am fairly represented. And on the other, there are these time constraints. We've already lost half a day, and I don't imagine there's a scenario where the Commission can do without the testimony of somebody like Kat Matlala.
Even with the evidence that we've had so far in terms of the WhatsApp exchanges emanating from his own device, there's still things he needs to answer to that can help you piece the puzzles together. But the Commission has taken a different approach when it comes to the phase 2 witnesses. They have actually been quite fair to those witnesses, and you're having a witness now stating that they fear that this process will not be fair without their lead counsel. They're going to be prejudiced if they're forced to continue, and the Commission has to consider that, because this is quite a critical witness, and if they are going to give testimony, then they need to do so under fair and transparent circumstances. And that is the concern that is being raised here. Remember, these are concerns that, if you place on record, could show up after the report as well. So,
and it could make it susceptible to being reviewed, for example.
Absolutely. These are critical kind of points that are being raised, and how the Commission manages it, you have to be both sensitive to the work that needs to be done, as well as the kind of concerns being raised by the witness as well. And I'm not sure how much harm could be suffered if the matter stands down until tomorrow, other than the fact that we're racing against time here, and the evidence deadline is the 2nd of October. And at this point, everybody has their date, and everybody has to honor that date. And when you don't honor that date, it has a ripple effect for all the other witnesses coming forward. So it's unclear what we're dealing with here, but at this particular stage, I do not get the sense that even if we do proceed, that Kat Matlala is going to be willing to give any information or meaningful information to the probe at this stage, while he feels that he's being unfairly treated before the probe.
And even then, if they do get this postponement, we're not sure if Adv van der Hever will be well enough to be here in person tomorrow. So many ifs and perhapses. Canny Maphanga for now. Thanks very much indeed. As we continue waiting, really, and we've been doing a lot of that today, notwithstanding just how anticipated Vusumuzi Kat Matlala's testimony has been. And like I said at the very beginning, around this time of the day, you would have heard so much from a witness. And today, I don't think we've even heard a sentence from Kat Matlala, despite him being present present here because of these issues which have really taken over proceedings for today. Whatever is taking place behind closed doors at the moment, quite safe to say that the commissioners are in an unenviable position, especially given the different issues that now have to be balanced. You have a witness saying that if their lead counsel isn't here, he doesn't feel that he'll be fairly represented, and a commission that is racing against time to get through his testimony and that of so many others to follow before their deadline.
Right, Ayanda, most certainly it is an unenviable position given the many considerations that are before them. But we'll leave it there for now and touch base with you as soon as they return. That's SABC News anchor Ayanda Nyathi, of course, alongside senior reporter Canny Maphanga, both at the Bridget Mabandla Justice College for us.